Hello there, Planet Poke people, it's me, Diogen Z, and it's time for Pokemon of the Week. This week we are going back in time to the first generation, but even further than that, billions and billions of years back, when dinosaurs roamed the earth. We are looking at the prehistoric powerhouse that is Aerodactyl. Now, Aerodactyl sticks out in my mind, remembering it from the anime when it swooped up out of the cave and picked up Ash, but if anybody remembers that, post in the comments below. Looking at it through the metagame lenses, we can see that it is definitely a physical sweeper. Its main attributes and its base stats are attack and speed, with 105 at attack and speed being 130. And of course we want to max those out with the EVs, so we'll do the usual effort value training for attack, which reminds me I need to work on a series to show you where the best spots in Black and White and soon to be Black 2 and White 2 will be to train for these specific attributes. Now, what's really cool about Aerodactyl's ability is its Rock Head. Rock Head allows recoil moves to cause no damage, so things like Double Edge that are powerful with 120 base power, so calculate that in with maxing out your adamant-natured, maxed-out attack EV'd Aerodactyl. That's some serious power you're wielding there, and throw in a Life Orb for an extra 30% damage. But normally, if you use that on a Pokemon, you too would take quite a backlash of recoil damage. Not with Rock Head. Rock Head allows you to use the move, but not take any of the negative effects of getting damage. So Aerodactyl is still zooming in and rushing into any situation to slam its head into the ground and take no damage with Iron Head, if Double Edge doesn't suit the need. Now, one great thing that I will be showing a separate slide for is that Aerodactyl, unlike some of the past week's Pokemon of the Week, has a vast move pool. We can vary up its differences greatly, and I recommend you do this based on the strengths and weaknesses of your team. If you're going to lack a water-type move for whatever reason, believe it or not, Aerodactyl can learn Aqua Tail, which I think is badass, and especially working well for this set, being a physical attacking sweeper. But some other cool moves that you might want to look out for are Dragon Claws, another 80 powered move, so that's good and strong, and plus you have Life Orb. It does take away some life, so Rock Head will not help you against that. Don't think just because you're getting saved recoil damage from moves that it will negate the effect of items taking away health. Life Orb still will, but it will give you a big boost in power. And of course Earthquake with a 100 base power, very effective ground type move to be using. One thing that you will notice is that the stab moves are missing here, and those would be Aerial Ace, Fly, which is sort of iffy to use because you give your opponent one turn to switch out to a Pokemon that is resistant against Fly, and then retaliate with something like an electric type attack or whatever, we'll get to that soon. Then I would really recommend Aerial Ace. It's less power, but it's a guaranteed hit. And of course you have Rock Slide or Stone Edge, Stone Edge being the more powerful move, less accuracy, Rock Slide being a more accurate move and also having the ability to give your opponent the flinch status so you can then attack again without having retaliation from them. Now, the weaknesses that I briefly mentioned before. This is probably the one unfortunate thing about this Aerodactyl set, and it's going to be that way for every Aerodactyl you raise, is with a dual type of rock flying, you get a bunch of weaknesses. And we're not really investing, okay, we invest 6 EVs in HP, but so what? That's really not going to make a difference. That's kind of the downfall of many sweepers. They don't have a lot of defense to keep them on the field for long, but looking at the weaknesses of Rock, Steel, Water, Electric, and Ice, you can kind of work around these by, once you see the additional moves, programming it so that you have a retaliation to each type. Also, make sure that when you bring Aerodactyl on the field, maybe you do it in the method of a baton pass from a sub. This way it has at least one attack to deal massive damage with Double Edged or one of its more supercharged moves if it's super effective for the situation. Now, about those additional moves, this is one of the big reasons I favor Aerodactyl in the metagame so much more than other sweepers out there, is because it has a lot of options in physical attack. Sometimes you'll find a great sweeper, but unfortunately you'll have to make do with a very limited amount of move pool to choose from in their highest stat. Thankfully, Aerodactyl doesn't have this problem and can have some good retaliation moves. Remember when I said that the original set that I provided in the first slide here really should include some stab moves? Well, Stone Edge is a great stab move to have. It's got such a very massive attacking power of 120 base. The only thing you need to worry about with that is that its accuracy is kind of faulty sometimes. What's good about that is it can take out ice types, and if you want a greater accuracy and, as I mentioned before, flinch capabilities, go with Rock Slide instead. Now, keep that Earthquake on Aerodactyl that I had in the original set, because this way you'll have retaliation against its 3 main weaknesses of Rock, Steel, and Electric type. Sadly, there's no alternate move you can have that will help you with water types, so if you encounter a water type, either take it out quick and fast with a strong double edge, remember that nice rock head prevents recoil, or switch out to a Pokemon that can better handle it, like an electric type or grass. Now, I want to know what you think when you regenerate this fossil in some transmogrification chamber. Tell me, have you versed with Aerodactyl before? Has it been worth using in your metagame? And what set did you give it? Did you use some of these additional moves, and how did it play in your team? What was your introduction? I think that a good way, as I mentioned before, is to kind of baton pass, sub it in. This way it can take the brunt of whatever attack hits it first, since we don't focus really anything on defense or special defense, tiny bit on hit points, but really it's all about the big attack power and fast speed of this Pokemon. So I want to know, have you played with this pterodactyl based dinosaur Pokemon? Alright guys, that's all the time I have for this week's Pokemon of the Week. If you want to be included in next week's, then record some battle footage of the Pokemon that will be talked about, which you'll see in a moment, and I will give you a shout out. Remember to subscribe to Planet Poke so you're automatically updated on when these videos come out, in addition to many other cool creative content provided by our other Poke partners here. So again, I'm DiogenZ, and I'll see you next week.